Good morning. Denise Dryden here. I'm out on Bainbridge Island and it's the beginning of a horrendous storm. So the wind's blowing and I thought it'd be kind of cool to listen to the wind going through the trees, and hopefully you can hear me just fine. I am super excited about this video today. It's almost as if I've been preparing my whole lifetime to talk to you about this. I'm a coach, as you know. I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher since I was probably 5 years old. I'm a historian and a metaphysician. I'm a parent. I've got 3 kids, and I've got 25 years in psychology. And we are at, this is January 12th, 2020, we are at the Saturn-Pluto Conjunction. So today I want to take a little history. You get to see my history nerd come out. It's going to be kind of fun. A little bit of psychology, definitely some information about empaths and parents and change, and we're going to blend them all together. So just sit down, we're going to go and see how it turns out. So today is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. What that really means is that there's these 2 planets, Saturn and Pluto, and they've been sort of coming together, and they're on really different cycles, so they never are in the same place at the same time. And they are here, you know, in conjunction on Earth, you know, sort of in alignment, having a little powwow for the first time together in 33 years, and the first time in Capricorn in 503 years. Okay? So, the last time this happened was in 1982, 1983, and before that was 1517 to 1518. So, that gives you a little bit of perspective, right? So Saturn is this taskmaster. Saturn's the sort of fatherly figure in all of the planets. He's patient, he's disciplined, he's strong, he's unyielding, and he's like this protector energy. And he brings things into form, into shape. So he's the one who says, yeah, this is how we're going to build this, and this is how it's going to line up. And he does this for permanence. Okay, so Saturn, you know, when we have our Saturn return, it's like, so how's the project going, and is it on task? And, you know, it's kind of an interesting personality. Pluto, on the other hand, is this wild-ass planet that sort of goes around and destroys things. It says, yeah, no, don't like it, doesn't feel good, be gone with you, right? So it does radical transformation. It's the destroyer of old forms that no longer serve at all. Yeah, doesn't work. Don't do it. Pluto is also a revealer, which is did you happen to notice that foundation's cracked, or that you built on top of a bad water system, or you know, like, it doesn't matter. Pluto's gonna like shed the light on it and go wrong, off, start over. Pluto also represents death, letting go. It's the removal and release of things that no longer serve, so that things can grow. So these 2 don't get together very often because they don't get along really well. It's kind of like having a stern parent and a party sort of player who just sort of sits back and shoots truth bombs at you all the time, right? So Capricorn is an earth sign. Capricorn is, you know, physical form, like, how are we going to do this on Earth? So when it's in Capricorn, it's all about what's going to happen on Earth with us, right? And it's also about releasing limitations. So the question is knowing this, how have you been feeling lately? Really? You know, have you been feeling a bit unsteady, a little overwhelmed, questioning sort of all of your long-term choices and commitments, and whether it's on work or marriage or family, or like looking at the world and going, what the heck is going on? So the last time that Saturn and Pluto were in Capricorn, in that earth sign, was 1517 to 1518. This is when Martin Luther nailed the 95 theses on a church in Wittenberg, Germany, and said, you guys in the Catholic Church do not get to determine how well we go through purgatory. It's kind of like selling speed tickets through Disneyland because you got extra money. You know, all of a sudden Disney, all of the amusement parks changed when we started selling fast line tickets to those who could afford it. So Luther sort of nailed these theses up and said, you do not get to do papal authority over death and dying. And John Calvin and Ulrich Zwingli from, where is he from? Oh shoot, France. all sort of jumped on board and said, no, or Zwingli was from Zurich. Calvin was from France, sorry. And they all jumped on board and over these next 15 years after this conjunction and said, yeah, no, we don't want the rule of the Catholic Church. And so did Henry VIII, so you can go back and look at that. So these events were targeted at abuse of power or multinational power and control. This is when Catholicism was spreading rapidly all over Europe in all of the expansion. And it's what happens when religious, political, intellectual, and cultural things get thoroughly upheaved, thoroughly on every level. And this started the Protestant Revolution, or Reformation, which then, started a whole bunch of things. It ended the Dark Ages. It paved the way for the Renaissance, the Age of Enlightenment. We went into new reasoning of thought. We went into innovation. We went into creativity and freedom. So this little tiny, and I'm sure that Luther had no idea when he nailed that up. He was just pissed. No, stop. That he was going to start something that catapulted us forward into a whole different future. So the weird thing about this is that, randomly I picked Linfield College in McMinnville, Oregon, and I go there for, which I don't know what my major is going to be until I meet with my advisor, who realizes all I do for fun is read historical novels. I think I read everything by Michener as it came out. I was Herman Wouk, James Clavell. It doesn't really matter. I just devoured history books. So I started studying medieval and Renaissance history, but more specifically, what ended medieval times and launched us into the Renaissance. I even got to go to Oxford and study 3 topics: the Reformation, the history of magic, and the King Arthur, the Arthurian legends in the British Isles. So now I'm here and all of this is coming together and I get to talk to you about, boy, this is big stuff. This is right, Cheryl, this is a very auspicious day. So when Saturn and Pluto played together last, they weren't in Capricorn, because Capricorn's this earth sign, and it took a long time for them to get there. The last time they were here was in 1982, 1983. So think back, some of you weren't born yet, I know that, and some of us old ones, can sort of remember. This was the Reagan-Bush administration. This was when we removed all of the safety regulations that were established in 1929 after the stock market crashed and the Depression ensued, and they said never again will we let things get that big and out of control. But Reagan was more of a laissez-faire capitalist who said, let's deregulate so that those of us who want multinational power can take it. So that's what happened in 1982, 1983, that it sort of started us moving towards this. So here we are now with tons of agendas on multinational power and a lot of criticism over the 1% to 2% that own all the resources on our planet. So let's bring this home right into us, because that's what I do. I coach parents and families in personal dynamics. What is your belief in power? What is, how do you do power and control? And, where do you ask for others to submit? Or where do you have this idea that I'm in charge, I'm large and in charge, right? So I made this really interesting discovery last year, and I've been talking about it in the videos over the last year as I've been working with sensitives and empaths. Like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on with all of this? So first thing I started talking about was energy, or emotions are energy in motion. That all of our emotions are just little, energetic zingers moving around, bouncing off of us. And when we get hit by something and we feel it, it's because there's an energy that's been in movement, right? The second is that all of our thoughts turn into form in front of us. So what we think shows up in front of us, right? So when we combine these two, what happens if our thoughts cause reactions in others? So let's start really getting deep and pensive about this. What happens if our thoughts cause a reaction in other people? So then narrow the focus. What if the thoughts you have in your head can be felt by others? Worry, judgment, fear, distrust, dislike. I don't like her hair. I don't like what she's wearing today. I don't like where she chose to sit. Watch where we go into judgment, which separates us from somebody else. or, you know, when we do love and adoration and happy and joy, right? So I got one more page and then we're going to be done. So think about this. When you look at someone in the store and you judge their clothes or their cart or their weight, or you come home and your husband or your wife or your partner walks in the door and you go like, yeah, here we go. And you're thinking these inside your head. Or when you hover over your kid because you're like, they're just never going to get it. They're not very smart. They can't do this. What if your other person feels all that? What if the person in the grocery store can actually feel your thoughts? What if this is felt? We can't hide or separate these any longer. So, you know, empathic skills are really the understanding of energy and motion. When things zing around, we can read them and we start to see patterns and we read them very efficiently. And now we're starting to come into a languaging of, oh, when this happens, that's what this means. And so I'm going to sort of lay that in, which is, you know, empaths see truth. You know, you can't hide how your thoughts are displayed or how your emotions are shared. You can't hide those. You can layer them, you can pretend, you can think that what you think in your head is separate from someone else, but the bottom line is it's all coming undone. Thank you, Pluto. It's all being revealed. So think about the elections that have been happening over the last 4 years. Think about leadership in our country and our globe. Think about the Me Too, the impeachment proceedings. And what's being revealed out there is that these truths are just starting to show up and we can't hide them anymore. So what big reveals are going on inside of you? That's the big question. Like, what are you starting to think and go, oh no, this is bad. I don't know if I want to be married anymore. I don't know if I could work another day at this job. I don't know how to have a relationship with my parents or my, you know, brothers or my sisters. So keep in mind too that as I've been working with New Earth children in their energy systems, is that kids 22 years and under have the ability to see all of these layers. And so they kind of talk and manipulate, like she actually thinks I don't know this, so I'm just going to move her over here, I'm going to move her over there, and I'm going to manipulate the situation. Ends up being really interesting when we're talking about parenting. Kids 12 and under, they're even more clear about lies and truths. And yeah, they're gonna play the system if you're gonna let them get away with it. But the bottom line is they see everything. So I brought a card for you, what I want you to take a look at. It's when a lioness has been hiding or pretending or layering with all sorts of beings, sheep in this case, that don't belong to her. And she's even taken sheep skins and lashed them onto her body to try to hide, to try to fit in. And so what's happening is we're starting to reveal, which is I don't really belong here. This isn't my place. This isn't working for me. I need something different. So in 2020, we have this opportunity to bring our inner and our outer together, right? And into truth. And what will this really look like? Well, some things are going to end. They're going to leave. They're going to be completed. And some things will shift and change. And they have to change or they won't survive. And some things will start anew because everything is changing right now. So today, as we begin to set in motion these changes, we don't know. It's like we just put a little drop of water and next thing you know, 5, 10, 100 years from now, everything's different. What do you want to set in motion? What do you want to choose? What's before you? What is it that really needs your attention and your truth? So this is, you know, what are you going to choose that will be for you? And what do you think the world's going to choose that it needs for it? So this is big stuff. Big concepts brought down all the way to the inner, which is how it affects you and how it affects your relationships. So on this auspicious day, January 12, 2020, know that big things are in the motion and that they're happening. So if you need some help with that, give me a call. Find me on my website at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. And this wind is really picking up. It's getting interesting here. You take care. Bye-bye.